We recently made a long road trip to a place that is one of our favorite places to visit, Florida. And for the first time in forever, we were back in a Disney park as we visited Epcot to experience the 2024 International Flower and Garden Festival, which might be our favorite theme park festival ever. We enjoyed reuniting with some old friends, and we'll share with you everything we loved about the festival, including the gardens, the food, and of course, the topiaries of this festival, which takes place at Epcot daily from now until May 27th, 2024. And it is a theme park, so of course, we will also talk about the rides and attractions we experienced along the way. We will close with a bit of a rant about the Genie Plus service. If you just want to see the beautiful festival footage, you can depart when we start talking about Genie Plus. So stay tuned as we join Epcot in celebrating spring and learning how to better live with the land. Epcot is a beautiful park with gardens year-round, but during this festival, they also have set up many temporary themed gardens. For example, this is the Blossoms of Fragrance Gardens, sponsored by Scentsy, which is a new garden this year and features a variety of fragrant flowers, along with signs that describe the fragrance and actually have vents that release that fragrance so you can experience it in a concentrated form. Nearby is the PB&J Garden, which ruined our concept of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. First, they told us strawberries aren't really berries. Then they tried to convince us that grapes actually are berries. Then they said wheat is a cereal, and that didn't seem far-fetched. Then they told us peanuts aren't really nuts. Seems like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are built on lies. Duly noted, Disney. There was a honeybee garden with beekeeper hive boxes and some flowers that attract bees. There was a Shakespeare garden featuring flowers and plants that were mentioned in the writings of William Shakespeare. Also in the England Pavilion is an English tea garden. It features plants used in creating various flavors of teas. It is always cute with little gardens set up in oversized teacups. There is a spice garden in the Morocco Pavilion that shows a bit about the importance that spices and herbs are to the history of Eastern cultures. There is a bonsai garden in the Japan Pavilion with a number of tiny trees displaying the art of bonsai. There's a prehistoric plant garden with ferns and conifers that appear similar to the type around during the time of dinosaurs. There's a garden in the Mexico Pavilion featuring plants from the rainforest, including many beautiful orchids. These are just some of the gardens you can see. There are more. As you walk through the gardens, you may find large eggs decorated like bunny characters from Disney cartoons. This is their kids' Easter extravaganza scavenger hunt. There's also a pollination scavenger hunt featuring Spike the Bee. For either of these scavenger hunts, you can buy your kids a map for $9.99 with stickers, and then take them on a search for all of the eggs or the Spike the Bee figures in the park, and once complete, take the map back to the Creation Shop or Disney Traders to receive a prize. Finally, one of our favorite gardens to visit is Butterfly Landing. You enter into the butterfly tent and get to see so many butterflies up close. There is signage talking about the life stages of butterflies, and you can even see butterflies in their cocoon stage, as they have dozens of butterfly chrysalises hanging in the habitat, and a couple of butterflies were emerging from their chrysalis the day that we were there.
There is also a concert series every day of this festival. We did not stop to watch a concert, but the band that performed the day we were there was warming up when we walked by, so we did stop and enjoy a couple of songs as they practiced. But then we kept it moving. We did, however, stop to take in a performance by the Jamators, an iconic Epcot music group. We've seen them on YouTube videos many times, but have never actually witnessed them performing in person. Until now. One of the best parts of any good theme park festival is the food. We're going to share with you what our 5 favorite foods were here at the Flower and Garden Festival, but first, here's a look at just a few of the menu boards from the food booths. You can pause if you want to read them in more detail. These are just a few of the 16 or so food booths available. A number of the park's year-round restaurants also have special menu items to try as part of this festival as well. So now, our top 5. The first 2 we're going to talk about both came from an indoor festival center called the Odyssey Pavilion, which for this festival has been renamed the Citrus Blossom. The food here is good, and there is seating, though you may have to wait a bit for a seat. But it is air-conditioned and themed to Florida's citrus industry. Number 5 in our top 5 list is the lemon meringue pie. I loved this. Alice liked it also, but she isn't as much into lemon desserts as I am, which is why it didn't end up higher on our list. It was delicious though. Number 4 on our list was the orange sesame tempura shrimp with orange chili sauce. The shrimp was tasty, and the sweetness of the orange and slight heat of the chili in the glaze really added to the flavor. Our number 3 was found in the Lotus House booth in the China Pavilion. It was cheesy crab wontons. These wontons filled with cream cheese and crab meat were better than most we've ever tried at local Chinese restaurants. Our second favorite festival food was found in Canada at the Northern Bloom booth. It was the beef tenderloin tips with whipped potatoes and garden vegetables. I liked this dish. Alice really loved it though. But we both really loved our number 1 dish from the Primavera Kitchen in the Italy Pavilion. It was a chocolate-covered cannoli with peanut butter ricotta filling. We always enjoy cannolis, but this is the first one we had with peanut butter filling, and it was amazing. It reminded me of my favorite dessert, which is peanut butter pie. Though the serving size on this cannoli, and a lot of the other food at the festival, are pretty small. We tried 3 drinks along the way at the festival. Alice's favorite was a Bayou cocktail at the American Pavilion, featuring spiced rum, coconut rum, fruit punch, and orange juice. I got the orange lemon smoothie at the Citrus Blossom. It comes in an adorable orange bird collector's cup, but you can save money by getting it in a regular cup. which I did, as we already purchased an Orangebird cup here a few years ago, and I like to save money. We also tried the Lucky Peach, featuring peach whiskey, oolong tea, honey, lemon juice, and soda water at the Lotus House in China. We both liked it alright. But mostly we drank water. Lots and lots of water as we walked through the Florida heat.
Speaking of traveling in the heat, check out the link in the description to my Amazon list of summer travel essentials. These are items I use to help beat the heat when traveling in the summer, which isn't too far away as I post this video. Most anything you purchase from Amazon shortly after clicking the link will result in me making a small commission, which will help keep us traveling through. There are a couple of new attractions since the last time we went to Epcot. One is the Journey of Water, inspired by Moana. This is an outdoor exploration trail featuring a number of interactive water features that tells the story of the global water cycle. This is a fun walkthrough attraction. There is signage talking about the water cycle and how we can protect this important resource. Many of the water features are controlled by your movement as you get near them. Your kids are likely to get a little wet playing around in the water, but not soaked. And there's a dry path if you want to avoid getting wet, but that probably is not what your kids will want to do. It may not be what you want to do in the summer Florida heat either. There is a large figure of Te Fiti, a goddess from the film Moana, near the end of the attraction that is a cool place for photography. We enjoyed seeing this, but would not suggest waiting in line for it. It's neat, but it isn't a major attraction that I would say you should wait in line for unless your kid loves Moana. One of the most popular parts of the festival is the almost 100 intricate topiaries of Disney characters around the park. Disney horticulturists use plants and plant materials, as well as steel frames, to create mostly plant-based figures of iconic Disney stars. But not all the topiaries feature Disney characters. They also feature gnomes, panda bears in the China Pavilion, a dragon in the Japan Pavilion, and wild geese in the Canada Pavilion. 3 new topiaries debuted this year, including the Wish topiary at the start of this video, this topiary of Miguel from Coco, and a new topiary of Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. We didn't see that topiary because we never got close enough to the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. More on that in a moment.
What better ride to feature in a discussion of the Flower and Garden Festival than the classic Living with the Land? This gentle boat ride through Disney World's greenhouses starts with some dark ride scenes and video projections as the narrator discusses our history of farming and the importance of our relationship with the land. Then you ride into the greenhouses to learn about the innovations and experimentation that Disney horticulturalists are doing to improve farming techniques and crop yields.
By populating our greenhouses with beneficial insects that prey on harmful pests like aphids and flies, we are significantly reducing our reliance on conventional pesticides. We are growing these crops using our nutrient film system, This technique precisely controls and recycles water and nutrients. With it, we can produce over 27,000 heads of lettuce a year in this one small area.
The Epcot greenhouses have used vertical growing techniques, such as in this tomato tree, where trellises are used to approximate the look of trees. This and other high-yield techniques used here have proven to increase crops to such an extent that this tomato tree grew 32,194 tomatoes in just 1 year, making it the Guinness World Record holder for most tomatoes harvested from one plant in 1 year. Much of the produce in these greenhouses is served at restaurants in Epcot. Along this ride, you also see tropical plants being grown such as rice, papaya, and bananas. There are also experiments in dirt-free farming like hydroponics or aeroponics. There's also exhibits about aquaculture or fish farming, which accounts for close to half of the fish we consume. They also display aquaponics, where plants are grown directly above a fish tank. The fish provide natural fertilizer to the plants, while the plants keep the water clean for the fish. Here recently, garden scenes have been set up to represent Disney films such as Snow White or Alice in Wonderland. I'm not sure if these have just been added for the festival or if this is long-term decor. If you don't like to go too far in the park without a Disney character reference though, these will help.
Unfortunately, we did not have great luck with riding our favorite Epcot attractions. Our best advice to new park goers who want to get the most out of their day has always been to rope drop, meaning get to the parks before they open, be one of the first people through the gate after the rope drops allowing you in, and proceed quickly to whatever attraction is most important to you. You can often get one and sometimes two attractions out of the way before the lines get very long. We did not do that on this trip. It was a very busy week. There was a lot we wanted to see and experience in Florida. Plus, we visited some relatives and some friends who lived there. We were exhausted by late in the week when we went to Epcot, so we slept in and didn't actually make it into Epcot until a few minutes after 11. By that time, the spring break crowds had descended. We did pay $30 each for Genie Plus. This service allows you to select from a list of rides that you can use the Lightning Lane, similar to the old FastPass system, except that you pay for it. You select a ride, and the app tells you when to come back to enter the ride through the Lightning Lane, meaning you get to skip the larger main standby line. You can make your first ride selection at 7 a.m., but again, we slept in, so that didn't happen. And by the time Jack started trying to get a Lightning Lane scheduled around 10 a.m., there wasn't much left to choose from, as all the slots for the popular rides had already been taken, which is why we ended up using a Lightning Lane for Spaceship Earth to start our day. We enjoy this dark, slow-moving ride through the giant sphere at the entry to Epcot that tells you about the history of communication. We like it, but once you've ridden it a few times, it really isn't a must-do. The line was 30 minutes long. Using the Lightning Lane, we were on in about 10 minutes, so that saved us some time. Unfortunately, the ride stopped for about 15 minutes in the middle.
Attention on Spaceship Earth, we are experiencing a momentary delay. Please remain seated. Thank you for your patience.
After a while, the ride started up again. Thank the Phoenicians. Our next Lightning Lane was used for Journey into Imagination with Figment. This is a cute ride, but again, not a must-do. But it was the best that was available through Lightning Lane. The standby queue was about 20 minutes for this ride. We got to ride in about 5 minutes in the Lightning Lane. We then rode a ride that doesn't even have a Lightning Lane option, but it usually does have a short line. The Grand Fiesta Tour, starring the three Caballeros. Again, another one that is cute, but not a must-do. Sometimes Lightning Lanes open up as the day goes on if people cancel them or the park makes more available. but fiddle-faddling on the app wasn't bringing any better options than were available earlier in the day. So we chased Donald Duck around Mexico a bit and finally got him to his concert on time. The only ride of significant wait times that we were able to get a lightning lane for was Soarin', which is one of Jack's favorites, so he did get to save some time late in the day to board Soarin'. The posted wait time for this standby line was 45 minutes. Jack waited about 25 minutes in the supposed lightning lane to board, but that still shaved 20 minutes off the full wait time that was in the standby line.
So you may ask why we didn't just wait in the long lines to ride the more popular rides, since we couldn't get lightning lanes to skip the lines. Test Track, Frozen Ever After, and Remy's Ratatouille Adventure are very popular Epcot rides, so the lines stayed between 1 and 2 hours long for each of those rides for the full 7 hours we were in the park. We really enjoy all of those rides, but we decided we didn't want to wait in line for anything over an hour. We did end up getting a 4th lightning lane late in the day to ride the previously discussed Living with the Land, which seemed like an appropriate ride to experience at the Flower and Garden Festival. But by the time our lightning lane booking came around, the standby queue was down to only 5 minutes. To add insult to injury, they held up the lightning lane consisting of just the 2 of us, while they allowed about a dozen more people in the regular line who were not using a lightning lane service they paid for to access this ride to get in ahead of us, even though they had only been waiting a couple minutes in line at that point. For $60, the only ride either of us really wanted to ride that we could use a lightning lane on was Soarin'. Disney advertises that guests who purchase Genie Plus get to use an average of 2 or 3 lightning lanes per day to skip the larger standby queue. I guess we beat that number because we used 4 lightning lanes, and it did save us time in line on 3 of the 4 rides. But we weren't even that interested in most of the rides that we rode. We did have a good time, and we made the best of it. But I will say, the best plan if you're going to get Genie Plus is still going to be to wake up at 7 a.m. to make your first lightning lane reservation, and then still be at the park before open so you can rope drop at the start of the day to ride another popular ride right as the park opens. But if you're waiting to sleep in like we did, I'm not sure it's worth the extra money. I often hear people say that Genie Plus is great because it costs much less than other theme park skip-the-line services, which can cost 3 or 4 times more. But Disney isn't selling what those other theme parks are selling. If I have a quick queue or time saver pass at SeaWorld or Universal or Dollywood, I can go ride any ride that accepts the skip-the-line pass. Just show them my pass and immediately get in line. There's no scheduling anything. They don't run out of skip-the-line time slots for any particular ride. I rarely buy these skip-the-line passes at other parks because of the expense. But when I do buy them, I can just go ride any ride that qualifies whenever I want. Purchasing Genie Plus just buys you the opportunity to spend the day on your cell phone trying to see which 2 or 3 or 4 rides in the park you can get, and they may or may not end up being rides you actually have a great desire to experience. And don't get me started on the new Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster. I hear it's an awesome ride, but the only 2 ways to experience the attraction are to either join a virtual queue at 7 a.m. in the morning, or again at 1 p.m. if more spots open up in the afternoon. Or if you miss out on that, you can buy your way onto the ride by purchasing an individual lightning lane, which averages about $15, sometimes more, which I was willing to do. No other theme park I have ever been to does this. Disney's current policy is that they are planning to disappoint a percentage of their guests who can't get a spot on the newest, most popular rides. If the ride is operating, There should be a standby queue. And all the people who paid over $150 per person for a park ticket that day should be told how long the wait is in the line, and then it should be up to them whether to wait in the line or not. That is just my opinion, but I am right.
Anyway, the Epcot Flower and Garden Festival is beautiful. We enjoyed seeing the gardens and topiaries and trying all the food. Epcot is a wonderful place where we have a lot of great memories. The Moana water attraction and the new seating areas and nighttime lighting effects are all nice improvements. Check it out now through May 27th, 2024 at Epcot. And while you're here, check out the links at the end of this video to some other videos we've made of our Disney travels. I'm Alice.
And I'm Jack.
Be sure to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so we can see you the next time we're traveling through.